In the early morning hours of March 4, 2026, the Iranian Navy frigate IRIS Dena sent a distress call. An explosion had torn through the ship's stern. According to Wikipedia's entry on the sinking, the vessel sank within 2 to 3 minutes. The IRIS Dena had just participated in India's multinational Milan 2026 naval exercises, a largely ceremonial event with crew members photographed marching in parades and visiting the Taj Mahal. It was 2,000 miles from Iran's shores in international waters, heading home. The next morning at the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth described what had happened. An American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. One torpedo, or one ship, 2,000 miles from the Persian Gulf. But the IRIS Dena is not the full story of what U.S. submarines are doing in this conflict. The shot that sank it was historic. What submarines do every day in the Gulf without firing anything is equally important and far less visible. According to Wikipedia's entry on the sinking, which cites Pentagon and government sources, the submarine responsible was USS Charlotte, a Los Angeles-class fast-attack submarine. It fired 2 Mark 48 ADCAP heavyweight torpedoes. One struck the IRIS Dena. According to GlobalSecurity.org's analysis of the engagement, the Mark 48 ADCAP in its current Mod 7 configuration is approximately 5.8 meters long, weighs 1,580 kilograms, and carries a 295-kilogram high-explosive warhead. It is a wire-guided precision weapon, meaning the submarine maintained guidance control throughout the weapon's run toward the target. According to Wikipedia, no warning was given before the strike. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Dan Kane described the operational significance at the same Pentagon briefing. For the first time since 1945, a United States Navy fast-attack submarine has addressed an enemy combatant ship using a single Mark 48 torpedo to achieve immediate effect. This is an incredible demonstration of America's global reach. To hunt, find, and engage an out-of-area deployer is something that only the United States can do at this type of scale. According to GlobalSecurity.org's historical analysis, the last time a U.S. submarine sank an enemy warship with a torpedo was August 14th. At 1945, the day before Japan's surrender, when USS Torsk fired the Navy's final torpedoes of World War II against a Japanese coastal defense frigate in the Sea of Japan. The IRIS Dena sinking broke an 81-year gap. According to GlobalSecurity.org, the Dena sinking carries 2 specific historical distinctions: the first American submarine torpedo kill since World War II, and the first nuclear-powered attack submarine kill with a precision-guided, wire-guided torpedo. The previous nuclear submarine torpedo kill was HMS Conqueror, sinking the Argentine cruiser ARA General Belgrano during the Falklands War in 1982 using a much older, non-guided torpedo design. According to Wikipedia, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese acknowledged on March 6th that 3 Royal Australian Navy personnel were aboard USS Charlotte as part of a training rotation under the AUKUS security partnership, under which the U.S. will supply nuclear submarines to Australia. Albanese stated the Australian personnel did not participate in any offensive action against Iran. To understand why U.S. submarine operations matter in this conflict, it helps to understand what Iran's own submarine fleet was designed to do. According to Army Recognition's analysis, Iran operates 2 categories of submarines, 3 Russian-built Kilo-class boats, the IRIS Tariq, Noor, and Yunus, each displacing approximately 3,000 tons submerged, and more than 20 Ghadir-class midget submarines specifically designed for operations in the shallow waters of the Strait of Hormuz. According to 1945's analysis of the Kilo-class specifically, the boats can sneak around the greater Persian Gulf in the shallower waters of that region and carry a mix of torpedoes, and naval mines. According to the 1945, mine-laying remains a core mission set for these submarines, a capability that can force slow, resource-intensive mine countermeasure operations, even if no ship is actually struck. According to Army recognition, Iran's Ghadir-class midget submarines were specifically designed for operations in shallow waters such as the Strait of Hormuz, able to deploy naval mines, launch torpedoes, and conduct ambush operations against surface vessels in the confined 21-mile-wide channel. Even a single Ghadir-class boat operating undetected in the Strait could reportedly seed dozens of mines. According to CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper, speaking on March 3rd, U.S. forces had addressed the most operational Iranian submarine, which analysts assessed as likely referring to a Kilo-class boat struck at its pier in Bandar Abbas, according to the War Zone and 1945. According to 1945's analysis by defense expert Dr. Brent Eastwood, at least one Kilo-class was struck at its pier during the campaign, with support infrastructure pulverized, leaving the boats unable to operate even if they had survived. See, according to 1945, Iran's most potent undersea threat has been reduced to an immobile afterthought. According to Janes, General Kane confirmed on March 13th that ATACMS ballistic missiles fired from HIMARS launchers had addressed multiple ships, including a submarine, marking the first reported use of Army ground launch missiles to address naval targets, including a submarine in port. The combination of U.S. submarine operations at sea and ground-based missile strikes on submarines in port addressed Iran's underwater threat from both directions simultaneously. 3 days after the IRIS Dena sinking, CENTCOM Commander Admiral Cooper posted a video on X with a direct statement. Today there is not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or Gulf of Oman. And we will not stop. That outcome, the complete cessation of Iranian surface ship movement across the entire Gulf theater, was not achieved only through direct strikes. It was achieved through a combination of strikes on ships in port, ships at sea, and the presence of U.S. submarine forces that made any Iranian surface vessel underway a potential target anywhere on the ocean at any time without warning. According to GlobalSecurity.org's analysis of the engagement, the strike demonstrated, as Hegseth's quiet death formulation was clearly intended to convey, that no Iranian warship was safe anywhere on the open ocean while American nuclear-powered submarines were at sea. That message, conveyed through a single torpedo 2,000 miles from the Gulf, is the mechanism by which submarines control an ocean without being visible. The strategic logic is straightforward but often overlooked. A U.S. nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine on patrol in the Arabian Sea does not broadcast its position. Iran's surface ships do not know where it is, how many there are, or what their orders are. According to the U.S. Navy's standard operational security practice, submarine identities are not revealed. As noted by Military Times, the identity of the submarine was not revealed, as is standard practice for operational security around submarine operations. This invisibility is the deterrent. An Iranian surface commander weighing whether to take a ship out of port knows that somewhere in the ocean, at an unknown position, at an unknown depth, there may be a U.S. submarine that has already been given permission to engage. The calculation changes fundamentally from what can our ship do against U.S. surface forces to will we be tracked and engaged before we can do anything at all. According to the War Zone's analysis of submarine operations in the conflict, finding, fixing, and engaging submerged submarines, even older and louder designs, can take significant time and effort, and Iran's own submarine force, even before being addressed, was not capable of countering U.S. nuclear attack submarines operating in deep water. U.S. submarines in this conflict are not operating solely as torpedo launch platforms. According to USNI News's reporting on Operation Midnight Hammer, the June 2025 nuclear site strikes that preceded the current conflict, a U.S. B. Submarine, in the Central Command Area of Responsibility, launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at the Isfahan nuclear facility. According to USNI News, the only U.S. Navy platforms capable of launching this many Tomahawks in a single salvo are the 4 Ohio-class nuclear-powered guided missile submarines, SSGNs, each of which can carry up to 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles in converted ballistic missile tubes. In the current conflict, according to Defense Update and multiple defense reports, 14 or more guided missile destroyers have also fired Tomahawks. But the submarine-launched Tomahawks add a launch dimension Iran cannot easily track or preempt. According to Army Recognition's analysis of the naval campaign, the combination of submarine-launched Tomahawks against land targets, command nodes, missile sites, nuclear infrastructure, and torpedo operations against surface vessels gives U.S. submarines a dual role: strategic strike platform and sea control enforcer, operating from the same hull simultaneously. According to Gulf International Forum's analysis, U.S. forces have addressed or incapacitated more than 120 Iranian naval vessels across both the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy and the IRGC Navy since Operation Epic Fury began on February 28. According to CENTCOM, by March 10 alone, 16 mine-laying vessels had been addressed near the Strait of Hormuz. The campaign targeted Iranian naval assets across multiple methods simultaneously: Tomahawks from surface ships and submarines against vessels in port, the precision strike missiles from HIMARS, launchers against submarines and ships at pier, A-10, and Apache operations against fast attack boats in the Strait, and submarine torpedo operations against vessels at sea. According to FDD's analysis of the 10 major naval targets, the Shahid Bagheri drone carrier, the IRIS Dena, the IRIS Makran forward-based ship, a Kilo-class submarine, and multiple Submarine-class frigates were among the specific platforms addressed. According to Defense Secretary Hegseth at the March 4 briefing, the Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated. General Kane added at the same briefing that U.S. forces had effectively neutralized at this point in time Iran's major naval presence in theater. Despite these losses, Iran's IRGC fast attack boat fleet, the Coastal Swarm Force, reportedly retained significant capability as the threat to commercial shipping from drones, mines, and remaining small craft continued through March. Iran's Foreign Minister FM Araghchi responded to the IRIS Dena sinking directly. According to Time magazine's reporting of his statement on X, the U.S. has perpetrated an atrocity at sea 2,000 miles away from Iran's shores. Mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret the precedent it has set. Araghchi described the frigate as a guest of India's Navy, noting it had participated in a multinational exercise the U.S. itself attended. A P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft had taken part in the same Milan 2026 exercises, according to CNN. The legal dimension, according to Just Security's analysis by naval law experts, is clear. Under the law of naval warfare, warships are lawful military objectives anywhere outside neutral waters, regardless of their recent activity or current posture. The Iranian frigate Bushehr, a replenishment vessel that had been accompanying the Dena, reportedly sought refuge in Sri Lanka after the sinking. A second vessel, the Levant, sought shelter in India. The precedent Araghchi warned about is real. U.S. submarines can reportedly track and engage Iranian naval vessels anywhere on the open ocean without warning, at any time they are authorized to do so. Defense analyst Michael Mulroy, cited by Time magazine in his assessment of U.S. military options in the Gulf. She described the strategic value of persistent submarine presence directly. It creates escalation options that are not visible, cannot be preempted, and require the adversary to assume worst-case positioning at all times. No Iranian surface commander can confirm that a U.S. submarine is not currently tracking their vessel. No Iranian port commander can confirm that a U.S. submarine is not positioned to address any ship that puts to sea. According to GlobalSecurity.org's analysis, the IRIS Dena strike sent a message that no Iranian warship was safe anywhere on the open ocean. That message does not require further shots to remain effective. It simply requires the submarines to remain at sea. According to the USNI Fleet Tracker and Defense reports, the U.S. maintains multiple nuclear-powered attack submarines forward deployed in the CENTCOM and Indo-Pacific areas of responsibility at any given time, though specific boat numbers and positions remain classified. As of late March 2026, the campaign that began with the IRIS Dena has not required another U.S. submarine torpedo engagement. The deterrence, according to multiple defense analysts, has been working. On March 4, 2026, 2,000 miles from the Persian Gulf, a U.S. submarine fired a Mark 48 torpedo and sank an Iranian frigate in 2 to 3 minutes. The ship had no warning. The ocean gave no sign the submarine was there. That is what submarines do in the Persian Gulf. They do not announce their presence. They do not surface. They do not broadcast. They simply exist in the water at an unknown position, with a known capability. And that knowledge alone has been enough to keep Iranian surface vessels off the ocean in the Arabian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, and the Gulf of Oman for weeks. The title says without firing a single shot. That's not quite accurate. The torpedo that addressed the IRIS Dena very much fired. But everything that happened before and after that torpedo, every Iranian ship that has stayed in port, every commander who has chosen not to put to sea, happened without a shot being fired at all. The submarine does not need to shoot to control the ocean. It only needs to be there. This video is based on publicly available reports, official statements, and defense analysis. Some details may be subject to change as the situation continues to develop.